Hello and welcome back to Web Development for Beginners. Beginners, as I assume that you are new to web development. In this tutorial, we'll be selecting and installing a HTML code editor. So our objectives are to, first of all, explore HTML code editors or code editors in general, and then install Visual Studio Code, the code editor I'll be using for the rest of this course. So by far the easiest text editor to use to start off if you're in Windows is Notepad. So if I right click, go to New, and then select Text Document, I can then start writing some code. And then an important point to make if you're using Notepad is how you save the file. So File Save As, and then here you've got the save type. So if you were just to save your file like this, you would have a text file. And that's a common mistake I see students make. So what you need to do is change the file extension. With HTML files, we need to use .html, and then select all files and then save it wherever you want to. So that is by far the easiest way to, or the quickest way to start developing for web, is to use your built-in Notepad equivalent program and then save it as a .html file. It's probably worth noting at this point, if you start searching for code editors, there's a few different terminologies used for text editors, sometimes called source code editors or just text editors, or sometimes IDEs, so integrated development environments. So the question, I guess, is, well, why look further than Notepad? It does what we want. Why don't we just use Notepad? Well, the purists might say that Notepad is a good place to start coding because you have to type in every single character. There's no support at all. So two general features that you might want to have by downloading a text editor purposely designed for development is the first feature it offers is that sometimes it helps support you in development in that it auto-completes code. So if you start writing a HTML tag here, it will just close the HTML tag, and that just saves you a bit of time writing that out. So that's the first feature. And then the second feature a purpose-built text editor would provide you is the ability to capture bugs in your code by highlighting words or lines, and that can make it quicker for you to develop your code. So let me just take you through some of the more popular programs. First is Notepad Plus Plus. So this is a really simple program to begin with. It's got a nice simple interface, easily downloadable and installed, and has all the features that you might expect from a code editor for developing HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So Visual Studio Code. So this is the text editor that I'll be using for the rest of this course. There's no real reason why I'm using this over any of these others. It will offer me the same features as pretty much all the other tools here. We have Atom, another popular tool. Sublime Text. Now I think you can buy this. So note that Notepad++, Visual Studio, Atom, and Brackets, they're all free IDEs or free code editors. Sublime Text, I think you can get free and a paid version. And then you've got Brackets. So those are just some popular software tools that you might choose to start out with. But again, at this point, as a new web developer, you aren't going to find that there's much difference between these code editors other than what they look like. So at this point, I assume that you probably know how to download and install software. But for those who need a little bit of a hand, I'll just go through the download process of Visual Studio Code, the software program that I'll be using for the rest of this course. So obviously I head over to code.visualstudio.com and I'm just going to press download. So the installation process is pretty straightforward. I'm going to accept the agreement after reading it, of course, and then select where I want to install this program. And then I'm going to create a desktop icon and then just press install. So this is Visual Studio Code. I've installed it and I've opened the program. So to start off with, on the left-hand side here, you can see that you've got this Explorer option when I click on the file icon, and I've got file, new file to make a new file. I've got this welcome tab here, so this is tabbed here, and I can close that. And if I want to, if I click on this icon here, I can split and have two windows, and I can drag this across so I can work on two windows if I want to. So the only other thing, if I, for example, create a new folder, so this is a folder that I'm working in, so this is my project. What I can do in Visual Studio, if I just copy this, paste this a few times, so that's in that folder there. What I can do now is open that project. I can then open the project I just made, or the folder, press select, and you can see now I've got this nice navigation area on the left hand side where I can select what files I want to bring in to this stage here. And then I can tab and see all the files, and of course then I can go ahead and split them. So that pretty much is all the functionality that you need to get started, and obviously file save as, and then you can select from HTML from the list and save your HTML file or your CSS file or your JavaScript file. So a little recap, we've installed Visual Studio Code. We've explored some of the different options for code editors and reasons why you might want to choose to use a purposely designed code editor. Of course, if you've got any questions, please leave any questions, and hopefully I'll see you in the next tutorial.